Are you guys going to be able to do that? For real? Check it. They're already getting their shirts. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Come on, people.
All right. This is Coburn. You can speak on him after, all right? All right, guys. Here's the last section. Feels like the toughest section. I feel like it's exciting. All right, guys? Let's bring it up a level. You gotta meet both of them. I want you guys to equal the noise that both of these sections did, okay? On 3, 1, 2, 3, come on! You guys do me one more favor? We got 2 shirts left? Alright. I want everybody get crazy. Everybody, let's go! One more. Who wants it? There's one of you. One person. Get loud. Let's go.
It's gonna get ugly. Carla, did I always jump yours?
It is.
Just kidding.
Like usual. I take up all kinds of space.
Where do you get that poster? From
The
him?
the seniors.
Oh.
The one that JoJo, she made a poster.
Thank you so much. Guys, seriously, what a welcome. Holy crap. That's pretty intense. How do you guys feel? Was that great? Was it good getting that out? Don't get to do that too often in school. I'll tell you what I always wanted to do when I was in your seats. But we can get into that a little later. We got some jobs to take care of today. And this is actually the very first of what's going to be a series of dates in 2014. So you guys get the pleasure of hearing things that nobody else has really heard before. And you guys went pretty nuts. So I guess that means I gotta spill my guts, doesn't it? Alright, yeah, thanks. And you know, at the end of this, just so you know, I'll leave some time for questions. And you can ask me whatever the heck you want. I mean, seriously, anything. I'm pretty wide open. You're not going to offend me. You're not going to hurt me. And I'm about to spill my guts to 300 strangers. So it doesn't get any crazier than that anyway. So, that said, I'm here to remind you guys to be extraordinary and unforgettable in your words, in your actions, and in your life. And I know that sounds like huge, monstrous, like this massive undertaking. And you may be asking, how is it that I get people to hang on every word? Starts with a microphone. Yes, you get one of those. But how is it that you get people to hang on every word? To model their lives after you, after your actions? And how do you make your life a legacy? I mean, those are all huge things to say out loud. That's a big mountain to be climbing, right? And I know what you guys are facing. I know what you all have ahead of you. I've been there. I'm still there. I'm still climbing mountains. But what it takes to get up those mountains is personal value. Self-worth. It's belief in this. Inside here, in you. Who has that? Hands? Anyone feel good about themselves? Any little pump they got up this morning? No, it's good. Raise it up. Set an example. You too. Anyone else? Who's feeling good? Look at you back there. That's right over here. Look at it. This is amazing. And everyone in here should have that hand up. Because you can do that. You can believe in who you are. But you know what, guys? I lost that. And I lost it hard. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So it's about to get serious. You guys okay with that? No? You're not okay? Alright, you can shut your ears. It's all good. But yeah, we're going to get a little serious. Because sometimes there are serious topics that we discuss. And I'll be honest, I sat where you're sitting in an assembly and thought, someday I'm going to do that. And I'm going to tell them. But I'm not going to tell you. Because nobody can tell me. I had to feel it and learn it for myself. Now, I want you guys, and I'm going to ask you some serious questions too. And now I'm standing up here. There's no one behind me. You have each other. Support each other. Okay? I'm going to ask some serious questions. More serious than the one I did. I'm hoping you'll participate. So, tell me, or stand up, excuse me, whose parents are divorced or separated? Mine too. Me too. Look at each other. Please, take a second. You're connected. All of you guys. You may not know each other, you might not talk, but you're connected. There's just something that you guys have. There's something that I have that you guys have. I know what it's like. I know the pain you're dealing with. I know that music gets you through. I know that movies make your Saturdays and Sundays when no one else is talking to you sometimes. I get it. You guys can go ahead and have a seat. Thank you for your bravery. That's huge. Now, when my parents were divorced, I was young. And I didn't know that I had lost something then until years later. And we're going to rewind the clock back a little bit, and I'm going to talk about that. Because there was a time, about 20 years old, that I had a small apartment in a small town across from this small grocery store, and the only thing that separated it was 2 parking lots and a highway. Okay? And there are reasons that silly little tidbit's important. And what it comes down to is I was 20, pretty fresh out of school. I had more money than any 20-year-old should have. I lived alone. I had freedom, right? That's what you guys all want, right? You get out of school, you get freedom. You get to do whatever you want, right? You guys looking forward to that? You seniors? But you know, when I was in school, I had this crappy routine where I'd go to school, then I'd go to work at the grocery store here in town where some of you work. I know because I've seen you there. You look there. And I would go home, and I would go to my room, and I would crank up the tunes, and I would read my books, and I would isolate myself. And I know I'm not the only one. I know you guys do that too. I hear you. I see your posts on Facebook. I know what you say. I know what you're struggling. And I thought, when I get out of school, freedom. I'm going to do things. I got a job. I lived the life I thought I was supposed to live. And it didn't get better. It got worse. Awesome. So in this small apartment, I would return home from work because I was working nights. And I'd be just attending in high school. Crawl in the bed at 8 a.m. in the morning, And I get up at 5 in the evening, right? Now all that sounds good. I'm making money, got a place to live, got freedom. At that point, I even lived some of my childhood dreams. I met all of my heroes, shook their hands, got photos with them, looked them in the eye, told them thank you. I brought a national television show to this small town. I got to be on TV. And how much of that mattered to me at that point? How much do you think I cared about any of that? Was I excited for the moment? Sure. But what happened when that apartment door shut? How do you think I felt with no personal value? If you don't have personal value, do you put value on anything else? Anyone? Do you put value on anything? No, you're right. You don't. You don't put value on anything if you don't start with you. And this is when I realized that I actually had lost all of that personal value. One night I woke up and I poured my Fruity Pebbles, right? Because that's what you do when you get up, is you eat Fruity Pebbles. Am I right? Okay, Fruity Pebbles it is. And I poured it out, and the next thing you was like,
I'm shaking.
yeah, you get milk. Absolutely. I mean, who'd have thought that's the questions you're going to answer when I come down, huh? So I would open up the refrigerator in my sweet 1976 decorated apartment. And I look in there.
They go for a second from you.
And there's no milk. Devastating, right? Right? What do you guys do if there's no milk? You pour it back in the box. Good one. What do you do? If there's no milk, and you have a grocery store right across the street, what do you do? Yeah, you go across to the grocery store and you get milk, right? I know I'm asking the tough questions. So, there's one problem here. Me, at that point in my life, I could not go across the street to the grocery store. And it wasn't because I was disabled, because I had a handicap, because I needed to enable myself. That's why. It was because of these things up here spinning around. It was because I was uncomfortable in my skin. I already didn't have confidence. I didn't have any kind of personal value. I had sunk pretty darn low. I'd come down for sure. But you know, it wasn't until I realized there was no milk that day that it clicked. My gosh, I cannot even function the basic ways in life. Granted, I could go to work. Why could I go to work? Because I could walk into work and I could say hello to my boss, do my job, and be left alone. Because I was in my box. I was inside my comfort zone. I would go home, and I would be inside my box, inside my little apartment, in my comfort zone, right? But when it came to going across the street and getting milk, at that point, I had fully tattooed myself. You guys had noticed I got some stuff on me. And I knew that I needed to be comfortable in my skin. So that's what I did. And it made me comfortable with who I was. I could look in the mirror and say, yeah, I like what I see for the first time. And I'm not telling you guys to get tattooed. I'm telling you guys, if you don't believe in what you see, change it. Make it so you believe it. One problem. Still didn't believe it. And I still didn't have milk for my cereal. So, some nights, I would sit on my couch and I would stare at my gold doorknob across the room that took me into the hallway. And I would bawl my eyes out. Like, and I'm not talking like, just like, I'm talking like the lips stuck in, like full on crying. Because I was so pathetic and I was eating dry cereal. because I couldn't cross the street in 2 parking lots. Again, you guys, most of you, many of you, all of you, are strong enough that right now if I say, hey guys, I need milk, here's $5, can you get me some? You would do it, right? Alright, see, it's crazy. But that's how far down it can take you. Other nights I'd get my boots laced up and I'd sit on the center of my floor and I'd stare at that doorknob still. It would haunt me. It would stare back at me and I would cry. I could see my reflection in it. And you know, if you look at a doorknob, you think it's all funny anyway, and then imagine you crying and then you look more ridiculous. Other nights, I'd get even closer. And I would lay down just flat on my back, just underneath it. I would look at it above me, and I would just cry. So the theme here is I would cry a lot. But I still couldn't do it. And it would be days. But then there'd be one day, for whatever reason, I'd be like, I'm doing it. Oh, it's happening. And I'd lace up my boots, and I'd just sprint out the door, down the hallway, and I would leap over the stairs, and I would run all the way to the grocery store. 2 parking lots. I would hope there was no cars, because I sure wasn't looking across the highway. And I would sprint all the way down the aisle to the back, because they always keep the milk in the back. And I'd get back there, and it was my A&E 2%, 1 gallon of milk that was $1.89 at the time. I know that because before I would leave, I would always make sure I had exactly what would cover it. So I didn't have to talk to my cashier. So I would run to the back, I would grab it, run up front, and I would slide it across that barcode scanner. It would be, I'd throw my $2 down. I would say, thank you, as I sprinted out the door. And what do you think I finally did when I got home? Yeah, I had my cereal. It's good. And I know that sounds like a really silly story. But, and I'll tell you, I drew out that milk for like weeks too. It was probably a lot by the time I was done with it, but I don't want to go back. And I mean, it wasn't just milk. It was anything. It was anything I had to get out of the house for. Because I hated it. People would stop me everywhere I went. A 5-minute store trip would be 45 minutes. It's still that way. I'm not sad, and I'll tell you why. It gives me the opportunity to talk to people when they approach me, when they stop me, when they question me. But then I wasn't ready for it. I just wanted my toilet paper so I could go back home, or my milk, or my cereal, or whatever it was that I was after. But I wasn't ready for the consequences of my actions then. But I knew that I was on my way. I just had to go lower. Because when you think you're at the bottom, you whine about being at the bottom, your life is terrible. You know when you hit bottom. And I had to get that. I couldn't leave my house hardly, except for work, which luckily kept me in-house. But that was not bottom yet. Because I realized what I'm telling you now. Does that sound like the life that you guys want to live? Where you're just stuck in your apartment? Anyone? Does anyone want to just stay in their apartment? Nope. So, I decided I didn't want that either. I decided that I was going to take my life. I was going to just end it. Because I wasn't living anyway, was I? I was existing. And you know, I told you I was going to ask you guys some questions. Who's got some guts? I'm standing up here in front of roughly, 250, 300 people, telling you about my lowest point. Who's considered that? I know I'm not alone. You. Look at these. Look at this. Guys, all of you who feel like you're alone sometimes, and granted, these are just people who are willing to admit it right now. That doesn't mean they're still suffering. They may be. And if you are, I hope you paid attention because they've been there. And I'll have time when I'm done to talk to whoever wants. But you have each other. And again, look around. There's several of you. There's more of you that weren't willing to put your hand up. And that's okay. You'll get there. So I got home from work one morning after making this decision. And at that point, like I said, I've done a lot of what I said I would do when I got out of high school. Why would I fail at this? This was easy. I can control that, right? So I wrote a note, because that's what you want to do if you're going to end your life. You let people know, right? Or so I thought. So I wrote that note. And for whatever reason, I decided I need to go to sleep. I need to sleep on it. And I'm not quite sure why I chose to sleep on it. But because I did, it's why I'm here now. Because I got up roughly 8 hours later. And remember earlier I said that my apartment was decorated like 1970s style, if anybody pays attention to fashions and trends. So I had green shed carpeting, which was pretty sweet, in my bedroom. And I put my feet down. And for the first time that I can recall, I could feel it. I could feel it coming up between my toes. I was aware of everything that was around me. I could feel how worn out the carpet was. And I thought to myself, wow, I feel lighter. I didn't have this weight on my shoulders that I felt like I had. And at that point, I realized I committed not only to ending my life, but to changing it. Because I would say ending a life is change. Would you guys not say that? I mean, talk about an abrupt end for not just me, but for everybody. And you know, that guy that wrote that note, at that moment, I realized he could be gone if I wanted him to go. Because if I was willing to end him at that moment, why does he physically have to be gone? Why can't he just be out of my life forever? And you know what? Why can't I do everything I wanted to do? All those things that as a kid I dreamed of doing. Why can't I do those? Who was holding me back at that point? Who was holding me back, guys? Right? Me. And that was the night that I called my employer, that paid me very well, and I said, guys, I'm not coming in tonight. In fact, I'm not coming in ever again. And then I called my girlfriend in 8 years. And I said, I'm sorry, but you're a great person. We're not great together. I can't handle the negativity anymore. Have a good life. And then I had to make the hardest phone call I've ever made in my life. It was to my father. Because I didn't want to disappoint him. Because I didn't want to tell him that I quit my job, that I ended what seemed like a good relationship. And I didn't want him to look at me as a failure when I already felt like one. And that was still to this day is the hardest phone call I've ever had to make. Because you guys know, there's a lot of pressure. And I'm not blaming him. It happens. We live life. We're all busy. Some people don't realize what they're carrying around with them. I didn't. Not until that day, when I let it go. And when I called him, and I said, Dad, his gruff voice picked up the phone. It was shaking just like it is now. And I said, I just quit my job. And I ended my my relationship. His words were, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. And I said, thank you. I love you. And I hung up the phone. And you know what? Sometimes you do have to do what you have to do. And I fought long and hard for years to mend that relationship with my dad. And I still do. He lives in town, you'll probably see him. Tell him hello. And you know what? He's a good man who works hard. And that's just one of those things that we have to deal with in life. And for me, being at the bottom and then starting to climb out. You guys remember I mentioned climbing a mountain a little while ago? I turned over that suicide note and I wrote something else. I wrote my dreams. You want to talk about the craziest thing in the world to have in your possession, and I still have it buried in a folder in my attic somewhere, is both the top and the bottom of your life all in one spot. And you know what? I wrote down that I wanted to write books. I wanted to travel the world. And the last one, the most impossible one I thought, was I wanted to change lives. I wanted to get paid to be me. When people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Does anybody say, I want to be me? Nope. But I did. I always did. But I was told that wasn't feasible. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You have to be something. Nope. I want to be me. And because I wanted to write books, travel the world, and change lives, I didn't know how to do it. I sat in these seats. I had no clue. My options were what your options are now. Probably worse, because you have the internet. And hopefully you realize you have each other. I didn't know how to write books. But you know what? From that day, I said I was going to do these things, and I posted it on my refrigerator. And I hope that someday I can check it off. And you know, there's local individuals who are writing books here. Amazing. They're already ahead of the game for their dreams. And I'm not saying you guys got to write books. I'm saying you got to do what you have to do. Make your lists. It took me 3 years to release my first book. And you know what? I was pumped because I released that book. Guess how many people showed up to my first book signing? Anyway, just throw a number. Huh? 5? 3 people. Wow. But you know what? While that stung in here a little bit, and it reduced my ego, which was like this, you know, I could hardly get indoors when I released that because I was so proud of myself. My head wouldn't fit. But you know what? 3 people showed up. One person was just there shopping. The other person came for their friend. But there was one person there who said, I read some of your stuff online, and it hits me here, and it helps me. Sold. That was it. That was all I needed. I had written my first book, a dismal, miserable failure of a book. But I wrote it. Check it off that list, right? Success isn't in millions. Success is in here. I wanted to travel the world. I'll never forget, I was standing looking at this massive bronze Buddha, this ancient brass, bronzy, I guess it was probably brass, it's pretty green. Buddha, right? Had big earlobes just like I do. I was like, yeah, these are my people. And I was looking at him, and I was standing there thinking to myself, I'm in Japan. to a place where I can't even speak their language. In a place called Kamakura, it took me like 40 trains to get to out of Tokyo. And I'm looking at this thinking, well, back at home, I gotta check that off my list. On the refrigerator. And then about 2 years after that, I was looking down at my feet and I saw the red brick of Red Square. Who knows what Red Square is? Come on, history people, geography people. Red Square. The Kremlin was on my right, the Goop department store on my left, and St. Basil's Cathedral was in front of me. Anyone? Where am I? We got it? Where was I? That is correct. Moscow, Russia. And I was standing there thinking, wow, I made it again across the pond. In a place that I'd only seen soldiers march and tanks roll through as a kid. I was scared to death of that place. But I was standing there, looking like this, first of all, because they sure don't accept what I look like in a place like that. Only prisoners have tattoos there. I stood out a little bit. It was funny, too, because I went to the fruit stand to get bananas, and the woman kicked me out in her language, whatever it was. I knew she was mad. Whatever it was. And she kicked me right out of there. I didn't get any bananas. That's all right, I was in Russia. And you know what? It's insane, because I stood there looking at St. Basil's Cathedral, and I was thinking, not only had I traveled here and around, I'd been all over the United States at that point, but I'd also just written and released my second book before I got there. Whoa. I wanted to write books. There's the S at the end there. I'd done that. But then what? Now I was reaching dreams. That's what you want, right? That's what I'm here to talk about, right? Bend to the bottom, fly your way up, huh? I was forgetting some stuff. I had reached dreams, I was successful, but I was also selfish. Personal value that comes in here. Personal value doesn't mean thinking you're awesome. Personal value means believing in yourself. It doesn't mean treating yourself bad. I had a lot of success then. I had some failures too, because I didn't just get up that morning or that evening and say, my life's different, it's changed now. No, it took a heck of a lot of steps to get there. And a lot of stumbles. I got married. I got divorced. I kind of got estranged from my family. You can ask them. So I'm over here. Do you know what it's like to stand in front of your family and tell them that you left and didn't care you left? Didn't mind if you didn't see them? Because you cared about you and your dreams and what mattered to you? And they were still there supporting you? Or you didn't care? Man, everything good has to come with that backside, doesn't it? You know, earlier I had you guys stand up for whose parents were divorced. There's some connections. And I asked about suicide, right? And some people raised their hands. Those are connections. Those are common threads. There was something I was really missing here. And it was just that, common thread. You guys see everything's been flashy up here, which is probably making you guys nuts this whole time. Because honestly, it's 0.1 second too fast for you guys to comprehend every word. Man, that's terrible. I did that so you guys would stare at it. If I got too bored. And there's a lot of words coming across here. And I want those who can relate to these words to stand up. Hurt, alone, isolated, no future, pressure, happiness, triumph, strength, inspiration, motivation. Look at it. Turn around, look at yourselves, seriously. Look who's standing up. Wow. Wow. What does this mean? All this crap that I'm standing up here talking about, I feel that. You feel that. You feel that together. You guys can have a seat. Thank you very much. Well, what does that mean? That means that people that you don't talk to every day, that means that the people that you make fun of every day, that means those of you who isolate yourselves every day because you feel like you have nobody. That means you do. You have somebody. You, in fact, have everybody. What a revelation. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? You have everybody. How do you do that? I mean, really, I'm talking about dreams here. I'm talking about some negative stuff. We know that you have each other for that as well. But who has a dream they're willing to tell me about? Raise your hand. Really? No one? What do you got, buddy? Pilot. Number one, commend him and acknowledge him for his strength. In front of this many people, he was willing to say it, regardless of what all of you would say. What do you got? An astronaut. That is my favorite example.
Since he is 7.
Because you will hear not everybody can be an astronaut. Am I right?
Way to go. Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. I'm proud of you for saying it. It's huge. I get it. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like. That's why I'm here. This is why I'm here. Give him another round of applause. Seriously. He deserves it. That takes guts. I did this for a living. He did it for a moment. Look how many people didn't. When this is over, pat him on the back. Tell him how great he is, because he is. And you're right. You want to be an astronaut. And you will hear, not everyone can be an astronaut. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't have the physical capabilities, maybe you're too tall to be an astronaut. What do you do then? What if you're too tall to be a pilot? That's an issue, right? Not for me. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Give me a second, guys. I'll catch you in a minute. It doesn't matter if people tell you not everyone can be a pilot or an astronaut. Because it's not about being a pilot or an astronaut. It's about the top of that mountain. Whatever that is. And you know what? You may never become an astronaut. But on the way there, you're going to climb that mountain. And you're going to be like, you know what? I only knew about an astronaut. I had no idea what a space engineer was. And those are the people they call space pilots. Everybody awesome? But it's not about being an astronaut. Because at the end of the day, you get to say, no, I'm not an astronaut. I wanted to be an astronaut. But then I learned about what a space engineer was. And that's who I am. But if someone said, you're never going to be an astronaut, you get a factory job. You hate your life. You stop driving toward it. You can be whatever you want. You guys can be whatever you want. I'm getting paid to be who I am. And people say, no, that doesn't happen. It does. And I'm doing it. And it's awesome. down to is you guys have a lot of pressures. I know, because you guys have a big game tonight, right?
Yeah.
Boy, if you fumble that ball, that could cause the loss. Sorry guys, you're gonna have to deal with that. But truly, there's pressure there. There's pressure for school. You got college coming up, right? You got to decide college. There's a lot of things to deal with. There's Facebook. Awesome. Everybody's going to talk crap about you on Facebook. So what? Be you. Know who you are. I know people call you things like slut, like you're ugly, you're poor. Does that matter? No, because you're who you are. You have personal value. Treat people well. It's simple. I haven't treated anyone bad, and I've talked to about 300 people today. It's a pretty good percentage, right? Right? You guys can do that with each other. Now, the last time I'll ask you guys to be brave. I need 2 people. 1 male, 1 female. Come down here. Come down. Come down. Does anyone have a notebook or anything to write on? I totally failed somewhere. Your cell phones? You rock. We got a piece of paper coming down here. Okay, what's your name? Dylan. Dylan and Kaylee? Alright. So, why would I bring people down here? Right? You got a pen too? Awesome. Again, this is Corey. He's my attractive assistant. He wouldn't wear the red dress I asked him to. Okay, so what he's going to do is he's going to write some stuff down for me. For you. And now this is all on you guys. Can you handle a little bit of responsibility? Not this much today? Okay, thank you. Listen to that. I don't know who it was, but yes, sir. Seriously. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That is how you treat people. Okay. Now, I need you guys to say nice things about these 2. And look at this. We haven't even started yet, and all of your faces are smiling. Look at their smiles. Look at them. All right. We're going to start with this gentleman right here. And I'm going to start by saying that he's brave. Because again, I know what it takes to speak up, both of you, and to come down here. All right. What do you got? Your deep voice. Ah, look at that. You're she likes things short. I can identify with it. What do we got over here? What do you got?
You're a crazy awesome sax player.
Listen to that. Crazy awesome sax player. Big deal. All right, what do you got? Finding humor in things, making people smile. One more. Way in the back here in the blue. Yep. Yeah, you can do that, man. Really confident. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. And now this beautiful young lady who's got some things to say. Oh, look at that. Would you put them all on this side? There's no haters. Okay, yeah, what do you got? Really, really funny. A comedian, if you will. Back there. Excuse me? Friendly? Friendly? Got it. We gotta go over here. There's no hands. I'm gonna make them participate. What do you got?
She has really nice hair, I think. It's beautiful.
Nice hair.
It's beautiful.
What else we got? One more. Really kind. All right. So, real quick, for those of you who said something about these two individuals, how did that feel? Did it feel good? Yeah, exactly. More buzzies, right? Makes you feel good to make other people smile. How did it make you feel?
Made me feel great, man.
Seriously. Vocabulary, add that. Stupendous. Seriously, making people smile makes you smile. Check out my Facebook today. That was my goal, make you guys smile. Because it makes me smile. You guys can have a seat, thank you very much. We'll give you let me toss you each these. Yeah. Corey will get you these two, just see us afterward, because we also, anybody who got those shirts, I totally want photos for you, or from you online, if you don't mind if I post them. So that said, the goal here is to remember to treat each other good, because I told you a little while ago I lost something, right? That I was selfish in my dreams that I was achieving. Well, just so happens, in order to climb whatever mountain I thought I was going to climb next, I had to start, I'm going to speed it up a little, I'm running a little behind schedule here, but you guys don't mind. So, I don't want to get me in trouble. Let's be honest, I don't need any more attentions in my life. So, really, I needed to make sure I was still climbing that mountain. I thought I did it, right? I reached some dreams, but there's a problem. I didn't know what was next. And I forgot how to treat people well because I was too focused on me. And then I started writing these things every day, like, make people smile because it makes you smile. If there's no road in front of you, pave one for yourself. Things like, if there are people suffering, reach down and pick them up. Because I knew I had to reach up for somebody else's hand. And I started putting things online to keep me honest. So then if I saw you guys, you could be like, man, they have a crappy attitude today. The thing you put online, that's not what you said. And I have to be like, oh, you're right. Suck it up. Be awesome. My life still does it to me every day, just to be clear. So I still struggle. But I put them there for me. But then you all started telling me, hey, that's pretty awesome. I'm going to apply that to my life. People started businesses. They started going back to college. They started checking in at the gym. And it wasn't about going to the gym to lose 30 pounds. It was about going to the gym one time, then twice, then 3 times. And then before they knew it, they were halfway to their goal. What's funny is I didn't see it. I didn't see that I was over halfway to my goal. And each of those little statements I write took me up that mountain. From support from who? Other people that I had stopped supporting. Man, what a slap in the face. And then they said, hey, I want these in a book. And I said no. And then a bunch of people said, hey, I want all of your quotes in a book. I was like, fine, I'll do it. But you guys name it. You guys create the cover. You guys decide what it's going to look like. And they did. So they got a book. But right up until the end, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't realize that they were achieving my dream. What? I had achieved things alone. But all of these people showed me that while I was supporting myself, I was supporting them. Remember that last thing on my list. Remember? What was it? To change lives. When I started hearing about people going to the gym and doing all these amazing things, I realized I was changing lives. More importantly, those people, they changed mine. I would not be here today. I wouldn't have the businesses I have. I wouldn't travel like I do if it was not for other people. That is a monstrous thing to acknowledge. And I do. Every week. If you guys are on my Facebook, and please feel free to friend the crap out of me when you get done here, you'll get messages every day. You'll also see a lot of thank yous for those of you who do check it out every day. And it's because I may have climbed that mountain in that book. Big plateau. It got me on TV and all sorts of other stuff. You guys want to know what's really funny? Is throughout all this, I learned how to be a gentleman. I learned how to treat people nicely. All of you who represent your school externally, academically, do you open doors for old ladies and everybody else who walks through? When you're on a date, do you open the door for your girlfriend or boyfriend? Do you do that? Do you take your cap off when you walk into a room? Do you say please and thank you everywhere you go? Do you say ma'am and sir? Because I do. I didn't. But when I started, more smiles. More handshakes. More importantly, more hugs. More connections. More good people in my life. Less drama. And I know you guys have Facebook. You guys get pushed around. But remember, you all stood up because of this. Because of the other emotions you feel. Because you're connected. Treat each other well. Because remember what I said at the very beginning of this? Be extraordinary and unforgettable in your words, in your actions, and in your life. If you have that personal value, if you value everyone else around you, and trust me, we're not perfect. I fail regularly. I love it. Because I fail forward. I learn. I ask questions. If you wouldn't look at you and say, I want to be like them, then you're not doing something right. When you look in the mirror, believe in what you see. And there's one thing, if you forget everything else that I say today, that Neil mentioned, and this is what I live by. It's what I lived by when I sat here. I just didn't know it yet. And you guys are going to repeat it after me. Alright? And then I'll take some questions. Do you remember at the beginning to do a little nudge? That's what I want. I want this as loud as you guys can let it out. Because I know how good that feels to just scream it out because of that pressure. This is your opportunity. Okay? The first thing that you need to remember, you guys can stay down if you want. I mean, let's really get it out, huh? All right, first thing. Okay? And just so we're clear, this gentleman, Matt, with the camera, Matt, if you'd like to come right over here, if you would, get a solid shot. He's going to take a picture. And since you're the first on this long journey, if you don't mind, I'll put you as the main image on my website. So you guys are the example. The place I came from is the example of where I'm going to go. Okay? Number one, it's dream big. And on 3, I want to hear that phrase as loud as you can. Got it? Okay, dream big. 1, 2, 3. That is what I am talking about. Are you kidding me? Holy cow. The next one. You guys remember? Dream big. Believe big. Ready? Believe big. 1, 2, 3. All right. This is the last one. This is the last time all of your voices get to be heard in unison. Because again, you can't do this. You can't do this last thing without one another. Got it? It takes all of you communicating, being together. And I'm here because this administration has a dream. And that's to not bully and talk crap online about one another anymore. Very simple. Don't. What a revelation. Don't. I mean, step back, you learned something today. Don't. Simple. Don't. Every time you want to say how much you can't stand somebody, think of a nice way to say it. Compliment them first. Okay? Work together. Communicate. Last thing. All together. Loud as you can. Succeed big. Got it? 1, 2, 3. Succeed big! That's amazing. Give yourself a round of applause. Alright, so I totally said it would be about an hour. I guess we're right about an hour, 10, 15. You guys will get like 10 after, right? I'll blame that. So I will take